I saw. Clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today, LaWanda is out, but she'll be back with us next week. But we are talking The Chi this week. It's the season 4, episode 2. So if you hang tight, we'll be right back with you.
One burnt you, know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that
All right, everyone, we are back. And like I said, we're talking The Chi. This episode was titled Cooley High. So it seems
one
like
of my favorite movies.
They're going with movie titles this season. Last week was Soul Food. This week is Cooley High.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I like it.
All the classics.
Well,
and all in Chicago.
Yeah. I gotta admit, the show is it's got all the flavor right now. What's going on? I can feel it. I can just feel it in my bones. It's gonna be something very exciting coming up on the season finale, if not sooner.
Oh yeah, this is starting out to be a good season.
Yeah, for sure. Couple predictions I think might have been hit on. I think Tiffany, last week you were talking about Emmett and his situation, and you thought he might have snitched on himself accidentally, but it turns out he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I thought it was going to come from him because I think Ron, you guys said that you thought it was going to be Dom was going to tell or this, that, and the other, and I said no, it's going to be Emmett. I said he's going to tell him himself.
Well, in a way,
he literally told himself. I thought his behavior was going to give him away.
In a way, his father had a lot to do with it because his father was in his head, and and so I suppose the question: did he do the right thing?
I think he did. It was eating him up. He could not hold it.
Honest. He was being honest, and that's what he should have been doing. And the fact that he had a conscience about it shows that he's changed.
And I think the conversation with Keisha helped too. Because Keisha was one of his old flings that got done dirty by him. So it's like do right by at least one person. Keisha was kind of reasoning with him, like you gotta tell her the truth. So
I don't know.
And he could have said what I think he should have said was that it also happened before they got married.
Right. And
I mean, it's bad enough that it happened, but I think he just said that he did it, and that could have been anytime. They still work together.
And
so
I think
he should have told her, like, babe, I made a mistake. This happened, but this happened before you and I even got married.
Right. I agree. I think that if you're going to tell that, because see, sometimes, and I'm going to be very ginger with what I'm about to say, but sometimes not telling the truth is better off. And what I mean by that is when you've hurt her so many times, you know for a fact that Tiffany couldn't take one more time. That. And if you did change, if you're honestly a changed person, then let that show in your actions. And because while you're telling the truth and the so-called truth will set you free, well, now he is free. He's free of Tiffany.
I don't know, man.
Well, he gave her, speaking of free, he gave her a free pass.
But that's another problem.
I don't think he gave it to her. She took it.
I say that like when, a lot of times with folks, when they do cheat, women, if they don't leave, some women do consider that to be a free pass. Like, okay.
And it just gets deeper. The whole problem gets deeper now because, now Tiffany was straight and now she done gone and done something like that. Now her mom is going to beat her up. And you know what? And it wouldn't surprise me at all if she wants a divorce, even after she had this so-called free pass, because does she really want to live with this inner, this state of being necessarily?
Dante has been in Tiff's ear since last season.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been, planting seeds like, why are you with this dude? Like, come on, he's not a real, just making her doubt her relationship. And so
and
this
plus
time,
he got it going on and stuff too. So she's already, she was already intrigued. And then for her man to mess up, that just,
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I mean, you know, first of all, settle with God. Settle with your own self. So you got to forgive yourself before you can start talking about forgiveness. And had he forgiven himself for what he had done and understanding the consequences, you know, of what might happen. And okay, so I'll agree with you in the sense that maybe she should have known. And I also agree more that it's the way you tell the story, not just telling the story. Because all she knew is that could have happened last week. Could have happened.
Right. They still work together.
Yeah.
And then it's all of the things. She's talking about having a side business with Dom. Like they were just double dating, watching movies. Like Dom has been in her house. It's all of that. So with him just saying it happened, he really should have explained to her. I mean, it's bad enough that it happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really don't think it mattered when it happened.
No,
because she's gonna feel like she's gonna feel like she first of all got tricked into the marriage, because like whether you did it before we got married or after, it's still, you know, it's foul in the first place. And then to have her up in my face and in my household and around me in my personal space, and you knew this stuff was going on, everybody else knew it too, she's gonna feel incredibly betrayed.
And that's why I say it was better to shut your mouth, because
I don't think so.
That's always a bad solution.
No, too much has gone. You've already said it. No, too much has already gone by. In fact, how else could she feel but betrayed? And I mean betrayed in a big way. In fact, she's probably feeling like everybody betrayed her. And you know, and it was nobody's fault but Emmett's. And you know, and my whole point is, well, because she had a lot to do with it. So, you know, the fact that if you didn't tell her up front, if you didn't tell her before you got married, hey, I need to clear the air. This is what happened. It won't happen again, yada, yada, yada. Then she has the choice to marry you or not, leave you or not. But now you put her in this marital bliss and she think everything is fine. But now she's noticing that you have these mental drawbacks or issues. And then you just tell her, like, I just screwed Dawn. I mean, what do you expect her to do? She can't get over that. And that's a pain she doesn't deserve. And that's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying that it's, you know what? I'm really not saying whether it's right or wrong. What I'm basically saying is try to preserve her innocence as much as possible, because now she's spoiled. She's gone out and did exactly the same thing you've been doing since their relationship. And
the only thing is they were like, she's really violated because they're married now. So she's violated the marriage bed. And even though he violated too, they weren't married.
Right.
You know,
and so she's really crossed the line.
Well, sin is sin. And so, you know what I mean? So I'm not looking at one sin being any greater than the other, but what I'm looking at more so is that you are the cause of that sin for her. She was in a I can't take it anymore mentality. And she was there because you didn't know how to explain or go by telling the truth. Or shall I better say, you didn't know when to tell the truth.
Yeah, it's a tough situation all the way around for both parties.
For both parties.
Because you can tell that Tiffany, she had been wanting to do that. She just needed an opportunity to get with Dante.
And you can say
she's been holding off for a long time, trying to, you know, keep him at bay.
Well, you know, it did look like that, because even when she was over there collecting, you know, Don was doing, he was doing his thing. Yeah. And, you know, you could tell that there was something there, something she may have wanted to explore. But I guess if he didn't press her enough, you know, she did what she had to do.
Everybody is tempted. You know, men and women are tempted, but you know.
Definitely. Yeah, I got it. I mean, we all get tempted. And you know, and sometimes it just takes that much.
But she was holding it down. She was holding it down.
Emmett. Props to her all the way around. And I'm not saying that she's any more or less guilty than Emmett. I'm sorry to see Emmett carry her to that extreme. That's all.
She didn't even come home.
Yeah.
You see, Emmett was looking for her. I was like, okay.
He was stressed.
He's stressed. Well, he should be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want to go into predictions yet for this situation. Y'all want to do it up front, or y'all want to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end.
Okay. I hold my prediction for that one. But I do want to, I guess we can shift gears and talk about Kevin and his situation this week. Kevin and the kids in his school had the college tour. And so he was already getting prepared to go, being very disrespectful at home. You know, Kevin is getting out of pocket.
Yeah, Kevin is out of pocket.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about him, and it's very clear to everybody around him that he's been self-medicating. Even his mom mentioned that. So I know that they're worried about crossing the line between, you know, being too on top of him and pushing him too far, and also giving him the space that he needs to cope with his situation. But it's like, it's always like they walking on eggshells in that house.
You know, he's got to grow a pair. I understand your trauma. You know, I really do. I understand your trauma. You know, we've all probably gone through it. I know I went through it early in my life. I know the feeling.
He's a kid.
Look, I got it. I get it. But what I'm saying is, you did the right thing. You didn't do anything wrong. Jake wanted you to mess up and have his back. I don't know what that looks like when a cop with a gun is out there, you know. So I don't know what that means, but you did the right thing.
But you know what? He feels guilty too, because I rewatched the episode and Jake was taken up for Kevin because the cop was saying something. The dude was saying something slick to Kevin first. And then Jake took up for Kevin, and that's how he and the dude start beefing.
I got that. But what is Kevin, little Kevin, gonna do to a police officer with a baton and a gun?
Yeah.
Nothing. Come on, let's just weigh your X's and O's.
Well, Kevin in his argument last week was saying, I mean, you could have at least took your phone out and filmed it or something. He was like, Maisha, you know, had more guts than you did. At least she filmed it.
Well, he tried to take something out of his pocket.
Exactly.
And if he had continued, he might have been shot. So This is what I'm saying. Everything you did, Kevin, was the correct thing.
He was in a no-win situation.
Exactly. You were at ground zero. What the hell is somebody supposed to expect, from you? You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Yeah. So you got to grow some and understand that this isn't all on you. You did what you were supposed to do. Jake is a fool thinking that you were supposed to have his back. You need to let that go. You had your back.
I'm concerned with how Kevin is responding to everybody around him, because he's pushing everybody away. Yeah. Essentially, and we kind of talked about this from the preview of last week. We can see it play out this week on the bus with him and Gemma, and Gemma is very pushy, and I think that it's irritating to Kevin, and he told her, like, you're irritating me, because she's trying to mold him into what she wants him to be. And he's kind of like,
he said, you're trying to tell me how to think.
Yep. And I think it's irritating to him on top of already experiencing what he's experienced, but not letting her in on that. I wonder if he had let her in, you know how she's so socially conscious, if she could help him cope in some different kind of way, in a way that would be more comforting to him, because with her not understanding the situation and what's going on, she's just pushing all the wrong buttons. And so she has no idea that he has sensitivities. Especially as the cop car rolled by, you could see he was very clearly triggered, suffering a little PTSD.
I don't think anything Gemma could say that would make him feel any, more secure.
I feel like she would organize a march or a protest or something.
I think she would.
And he's a quiet type. He wouldn't want that anyways. If she were to do such a thing, he wouldn't want that, because he tends to like to stay in the background. So, like I said, it's all up to him. He has to get inside himself and understand that he did nothing wrong. That it's a situation that happens a lot to a lot of Black youth. He got caught up, but he survived, and that's the biggest. That's where you want to be. The end result is you got to survive that.
I like the conversation that Keisha had with him though, because Keisha was able to, identify with him and let him know like how she felt, and like her own feelings, and then even remind him of the fact of like, you're having an opportunity to go on this college tour, and I'm supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like she was supposed to be the track star and going to school, and why I still think she's still going to go to school. It's just a tiny detour.
Yeah.
But, right now, Kevin is getting off track, and that's where she wanted to be.
Yeah, and Kevin, he's really like, I wish his parents could, I think Keisha not telling her mom about what Kevin got into on that college tour with him getting kicked off because of, his drug use. I think that's a disservice to Kevin, because at this point, he needs somebody to intervene and get him back on the right path and get him the resources that he needs, because if things continue the way they are, he won't probably even make it to college. And if he does get there, like the fact that he has like all of the freedoms to be around these people that are pushing drugs on him and allowing him to experiment with different things, like that's not going to help his situation any. It's just going to continue to make things worse for him, and he can really get derailed.
Well, I'm glad he got a bad experience with those drugs, because if you got any sense at all, you would realize that certain drugs you just don't want to mess with. And, so he had a bad experience. Let's hope he's smart enough to realize that may be something that he wants to stay away from, like he initially thought he would do.
Yeah. It didn't take much for that guy to convince him to pop them pills. So that's why I was like,
that was that bravado thing, because someone called you. Well, the other white boy said he's just a kid.
He's a kid. Well, he is a kid.
Well, he is a kid, but I think that's what got him. He says, "Oh,
that's what." Yeah,
that's what got. Look, son. Like I said, grow some. Understand who you are, where you are at the time you are, and let it be. You don't have to do everything everybody else is doing. You don't. You already.
Go ahead.
No, you king of the of that little game they were playing. Let that be enough. Take their money and roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was gonna say, it's so interesting to me how Kevin was the one that everybody, kind of felt like he had the bright future, and he was like the straight and narrow kid. Mm-hmm. And now it's kind of shifting, because he's the one that's starting to get off track, and Jake is starting to shift more to getting on track. Mm-hmm. And so it's like the roles are reversing now. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was a interesting shift in the perception of those two. And I wonder if they're going to continue to clash, because their relationship is just like still on the rocks. And I know we had predictions about, possibly seeing Jake and Gemma get too close for Kevin for his comfort. So I still see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with Jake, and he's starting to, be more into girls. The classmate of his made a move on him. And, Jake was like the rough around the edges, forget the girls. He was focused on, the streets and stuff. And now, the girls are catching his attention. And so I'm just like, uh-oh.
Yeah, he's saying Kevin get booed up and Papa's booed up. And it's funny because it was funny when he was talking about the his wound, his wrist. He was like, oh, the doctor said it'd be okay in a couple of days. And then when the little girl sat down with him, he's like, oh, it's terrible. It's gonna be a couple months.
Yeah, he is milking that. He's gonna make sure she thinks that he got injured for real, so she can nurse him back.
Well,
Listen, they learn early, don't they? Look.
They sure do.
Well, Imani picked up on that. She put the condoms in the backpack. She was like, look, you gonna do it anyway. Just make sure you protect yourself. So I guess I kind of appreciate straightforward conversations like that with the kids, so that they feel like they can come to an adult with certain situations they run into, because so many times parents feel very uncomfortable having that conversation, right? And so it gets avoided altogether, and then the kid just finds themselves in a very bad situation in the end, rather than having that transparency where you can have the conversation. So I do appreciate how Imani is trying to step in and
listen. Imani is a rider. I like Imani. She seems to be a good sounding board and things like that. And even like she can see already that Trig's friend, he gonna be trouble. Yes. I already see it.
I see it too.
Yeah, it's that's a fait accompli. It's a done deal. But I wanted to talk about Douda.
Let's talk about him.
Okay. Personally, I got a lot of respect from Douda this season. particularly when he rolled up on the cop and while he's up in the hospital, and read him his little rap sheet on what he's been doing to young Black kids, and then has the nerve to go out to the press and say, this dude is fired. Officer Reeves is no longer Chicago police, on the Chicago police force.
Mm-hmm. I was with him. I was with him.
Love it. But now I'm trying to figure out what Rosalind is doing.
Well, Rosalind and Gemma's father, they have a plan for how they thought that whole mayoral situation would have been run, and they were basically trying to feed Douda like a plan, like
they had what we gonna do. They had an agenda. Yeah. She's an advisor. And, I'm used to those political advisors, strategists, and stuff. So she was trying to not alienate Douda's base. Like, of course, that's going to play well with Black folks in Chicago. Yeah. But Chicago is not just Black folks. Yeah. I mean, so I think she was trying to make sure.
Here's the age-old problem. When Black folks get into a position where they can control and make change, they don't, because they want to sit around and play that political ball. That political ball has gotten us nowhere. And it will continue to be that way because we want to play one type of game while they're playing another. So when you get into that position where you can play their game, they're not going to like it. And so what? Make the changes when the changes have to be made, and then let's move on. I was so impressed with the fact that he calls a press conference and makes even more demands. So what else should he do? But everybody else around him wants to play that little political soft shoe. That political soft shoe gets you nowhere. How many more years do we have to figure out that playing by the rule, the so-called rule, and that rule only exists with you, is ever going to get us anywhere? Yeah. It's not. You want to play chess? I have to play chess with you. You want to play checkers? I'll play checkers with you. But don't ask me to play checkers while you sitting over there playing chess.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I appreciated, his Douda's conversation that he had with the cop, because the cop was speaking as a veteran. And I just have certain reservations about like people that have, as a veteran, you've been to war and you might have like certain situations that you come back with, like certain triggers. And so to take that into being a police officer, like that could be dangerous for the community, because certain things that they do might trigger you in a way that it wasn't meant to. And so being a war veteran and then trying to serve the community in like a disciplinary way, like stuff like that is kind of like a fine line in that role. Not to say that they can't do it, but it's just certain sensitivities that you have to be aware of.
But it's funny how that PTSD only flares up when it's young Black boys.
Yeah.
PTSD doesn't flare up when they're young white boys in the street. So that's a little interesting how PTSD can be so myopic.
Yeah, it was interesting too, because he was talking about his family, like, I have kids to come home to and a wife and all this stuff. And dude, I was like, so do I.
Welcome to the club. We gotta worry every time we walk out the door, and especially those of us who have sons, husbands, family members, even the women. I mean, that's something that's always on our shoulders.
Yes. So I don't know. I think that this show is trying to explore that conversation. And I like how even as you seen Otis make the that decision against to come out defunding the cops, you can see how the cops are like rolling by, like side-eyeing him.
Yeah.
And so this is a very relevant topic though, because this is a conversation in real life that has been going on. And a lot of people have been trying to define, what defunding the cops means and what it looks like. And so you've seen it again later on this episode when Trig was outside of the corner store and the guy was getting ready to be arrested, and the cops are kind of being way too aggressive with him, and he had to intervene and tell everybody to record. You've seen him step off, and that's that community policing. We know this guy, we know he don't mean no harm. He's not, it was specifically because he was loitering, and that's such a small offense. And so it's like he doesn't mean any harm. You can just let him go. You don't need to be aggressive and manhandle him. So I get the idea of defunding the police and kind of taking some of the resources in terms of, you know, money wise and shifting it back into the community. Mm-hmm. But that term, when other people hear it, it's like,
oh, it's polarizing.
The police to them. They think that they're trying to get rid of the police completely.
Yeah, it's polarizing.
Look, I don't think you have to defund the police. What I think you have to do is make them accountable. And you do that by laws.
That's a good word.
So, you know, my thing is, you know, you don't have immunity to do whatever the hell you want to do. You have a gun. You have control over people. You control whether they live or they die. That's a hell of a responsibility to put on a human being. But if you're going to have that responsibility, you need to also have accountability. And that accountability has to be, if you screw up, and I'm not talking about a slip, you know, walking down the street and you just happen to trip over a pebble. I'm talking about when you start using all that power abusively, then you need to be held accountable for that to the highest extent of the law, because of the fact you have one of the most powerful positions that you can have, which is a badge and a gun. And if you got that much power, you should have equal amount of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases where we see like so many of these police officers that have, you know, had misconduct and stuff like that, they truly do seem as though they are above the law.
They are.
And so, and that's a situation that I feel like, you know, the accountability has to be there on every level.
And if
everybody.
Right. And if you're not willing to give that accountability to a human being, then go get robots and let robots be police officers. But then you got a problem with programming. But it's the same thing. If you're going to have a police state or police in your state, they have to have that accountability, a slap right on them. If you don't have it, just like, for instance, this blue wall of silence, there should never have been such a thing. You should feel comfortable in knowing that if a cop is out in the street doing something that he's not supposed to do, that you should have that ability to stop him and then have the other police officers around you applaud you, not the bad cop. See, so that's what's so systemic, because you want to applaud you want to give all the credence to the bad cop, and then what? Destroy the cop that was trying to do something favorable, that was trying to be, you know, earnest. Come on. That's why I say you have to have this, and it has to be nationwide too. Nationwide accountability, not state by state. It has to be nationwide, and it has to be one of the. I mean, it has to be such a criminal indictment on you that that those cops follow that same road that we just saw with Floyd's criminal defense.
To your point about accountability, it's a trip, because, you know, Douda had that file and that officer had multiple complaints.
Multiple.
Still had his job. Now, anybody else, in any job that you hold, if you had a number of complaints, maybe one complaint, you would be fired.
Try it.
Right.
Try it.
You would not have a job. So how is it that he and, you know, in real life, all these other folks that have multiple complaints can still keep their job?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And so I like that the show is highlighting this. And the problem is, I don't know if Douda should be the one highlighting, you know, because he has his own rap sheet. And so it's like really get exposed. And when Rosalind was kind of telling him, like, your decisions are going to get you killed, I was like, uh-oh. Well, you know, y'all hinted at maybe having a prediction about who could have done it.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of feel like, I know we're talking about holding it to the end, but I kind of feel like it was foreshadowing for her, because, like, he is definitely rubbing her the wrong way. And she was like, she might be the one to take him out. And it made me reminisce about Ghost in Power, because, you know, Ghost, that last day, he was showing out. He was making all types of enemies. He just was like really full of himself. And he got cut down. And I saw the same thing in Douda. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, we still got to keep on the lookout for that. But I'm with you on that prediction.
I'm not feeling any of that. I think he was supposed to do. And my problem is Rosalind, and that attorney he has. That's my problem, you know, because like I said, he's in, you know what, game knows game. Douda, you know, he's been in his little mess, and now he is in a position to make change. And so he understands what that change is. And as far as I can see, he hasn't done anything to hurt anybody. He's just trying to bring some equality into the Black community in Chicago. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I'm cool with his agenda, what he's trying to do.
But there's only one way to do it. You can't sit around and sing Kumbaya in a meeting because nobody's hearing that. There's only one way to do it.
Well, you got to have people on the same team, though. I mean, you got to bring your people on the board.
Do.
Well, you know, I said that Curtis might not be the person to bring about that change, but now I'm having second thoughts. Maybe he might be, because you got to have somebody that will like stand by their stance. Exactly. And Douda is the kind of person that he has a rap sheet, yes, but he also has the streets behind him.
He does. You know,
he still has people that can do his dirty work if necessary. So, you know, if people try to cause an issue or rise up against, you know, what he has set in place, he has people that he can send out and you know, it's like, take care of that for me. Whereas another politician in that position might bend to the wishes of their constituents and stuff like that. He can stand in his stance and then say, who gonna check me? You know?
hey, that's what I'm saying. That's how it has to be. It has to be, you know?
Yeah. And you know, I was gonna say, I wanted to touch back on the Amani situation too, because we briefly dusted over that, but I had a comment about that. And Rashad's character, Jason Weaver, I really love Jason Weaver since, you know, he was a kid.
I did too.
It hurt my heart to see him in a role there. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like him in this show.
No.
Because
but he's talented.
The way he was, you know, pushing up on Imani, and it was incredibly uncomfortable.
It was.
You know, especially since him and Trig are supposed to be friends from in jail, and you know, Trig feels like he's kind of indebted to Rashad because he did a bid for him or whatever. So he's like, you can come and stay at my house, but just don't try to, you know, push up on my woman. They throw the party for him, and what does he immediately do as soon as he get there?
Yeah,
push all up on Imani, and I'm like,
yeah, I think he's gonna try to cross the line. I see.
He will. He will. And that's why, you know, Trig, come on now. I understand. You know, he took a bid for you, and you know, you feel some certain kind of way that you gotta, you know, help him, whatever. But you know, you can help him financially.
You should have put him up somewhere. Don't bring him under the same roof.
And Trig already knew that was gonna be a problem. That's why he didn't tell Imani in the first place.
That's what I'm about to say. And don't ever.
And you don't do that.
Don't do that and not explain to her before you doing what you're doing.
You don't do that. You don't make decisions like that without discussing it with your partner.
Exactly. And you don't. And the only reason he didn't discuss it because he knew she'd say no. And if you know that, then you should have thought of something else to do with your boy, because you know how he is. He just got out of the Bing, so you know what he's gonna do.
And he was already making demands up in there.
He sure was.
5 minutes.
He sure was. I said, man, he's, you know.
Yeah, you need. I slow your roll, man. You know.
And you know what I think is going to be an issue, because I'm like, does he know that Imani is trans?
Oh God!
And I think that's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue for Trig too, if he doesn't know, because he's, you know.
Apparently he doesn't know, but when he does, he should find out.
I don't think he knows. No, My son thinks he does.
No,
but I don't think that he knows.
I don't think so either.
Because he's such a foul mouth. If he had known, he would have mentioned something or said something about it.
Oh, that's
right. Because he was already calling her the B word. So exactly. I feel like if he knew, he would have gone further.
He would have gone there.
Some other derogatory name.
That's what I said. I agree. I don't think he knows that, and I think he probably, once he tries his hand with her, he may find out.
Yeah.
And then I think he's going to say something very disrespectful. He's going to put Trig in a difficult position.
Yeah. And not only that, just like inviting him into your space, but he also has Jake there. And you have to think about what kind of influence that's going to be on your brother, who's in like this very transitional phase of his life. I just think that was very bad judgment on Trig's part.
Yeah, it was. I think it was his guilt, because he said that the man did a bid for him. So I think he was trying to overcompensate.
Right, but he got resources. I mean, he could ask Otis for some. I mean, he's already doing work for Otis. It's not like he's not getting money. He threw him a couple bands when he got out of jail. So I'm like, you gave him money. Tell him to go and rent an apartment. What more does he need?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, that's the best setup possible. Like, he gave him a couple thousand. So I'm like, that's enough to cover a couple months rent.
I don't know how much it was, but I know it was a fat roll that I don't have in my pocket.
Exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that back up because I was
I was like, that's gonna be a problem.
Other thing I wanted to talk about that I thought was very cute was Papa and Maisha this week.
They're so cute.
Yeah, it's weird for me to not see Papa with the rest of the boys, but I keep forgetting that they're at different schools now, so they're not doing the same things. But you know, just how Papa has tried to be involved and still keep their friendship tight, and he's started his little social podcast where he's going to be talking about social issues.
I heard that,
and I'm like, Papa is like still, you know, he has a soft place in my heart. I have a place for
mine too. Maisha had flow too.
Maisha was killing it in that closet.
I'm like, okay, Maisha.
Yeah. And so I thought it was funny too how she laughed at him for wanting to have Van Jones onto his podcast. But you know, just those little sensitivities when you're a kid, you take offense to the littlest things. And
well, you know, my thought behind that was, Maisha, you know, you could have been in his corner and give him a sense of reality at the same time, but you could have done it a little more gentle. You know, my thing is, you know, that's his dream, that's his thing. And he's not only in the moment, but he's looking ahead and he feels as though this is something that can happen. And, you know, you could have said something like, hey, it can happen, you know, maybe give it a little time, you know, or something to the effect that, you know, it may not happen today, but rest assured with what you're doing, you know, it's going to happen. But she's laughing at him about something that's so close to his heart. It's going to make him feel a certain kind of way.
Right.
I see you laughing on it. You know.
Well, the thing with Maisha is she's a very strong personality. And so she used to overpower the boys. And so I think she's used to saying whatever comes to mind and being like the bully.
Right, exactly.
I know. But she's been doing a good job though, as far as, you know, softening up and stuff. Yes. The two of them together, they're really cute.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to touch on Keisha's situation as well, because you talked about how she could possibly, you know, get back on track, but it looks like in the meantime she has taken a job at this thrift store or some kind of discount store, and her boss was irking me. I was like,
me too.
Lady, don't see that you got this big belly, and she's
pregnant. Like she was being
micromanaging her every move. I'm like, God.
And I felt for Keisha when she saw the friend, you know,
at the store
from school, because they, you know, they see her, she's visibly pregnant and she was supposed to be away at college and everything. But, you know, one of my college professors talked about don't apologize for life's detours. And that's a small detour. She will still go to college.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And I think she's gonna keep that baby.
I think so too. I was just about to say that, because as the whole family was at the doctor's appointment, she's listening to the heartbeat. I think she was trying to divert the attention away from like wanting to keep the child, because I think it was on her mind. But I think when the nurse asked her if she wanted to know the sex of the baby, she was kind of like, no, I don't want to know. You know, just in case I do give it up. But you could tell that she's still considering it, especially after she was talking with Emmett and she was like, I don't know who I'm going to give my baby to, you know, trying to make that decision. I think she's going to end up keeping it.
I think so too. When she told Kevin that, when he asked, what's that? And she's like, that's the baby's heartbeat. Yeah. And stuff. So it was, and seeing the sonogram, that's really real to her. Like, this is a real baby. And that connection between a mother and a child is so powerful that I don't think she's getting rid of it.
I don't think
so. And not to mention that, I mean, she has the family bond and relationship at home to raise that kid. You know, it's not like she has to do it by herself. She has good people at home.
Yep, she definitely has the support.
So she's got the support, and I think that once she has that baby and she holds that baby for the first time, it's gonna be real.
It's a wrap. Even Kevin came around when she said that was a heartbeat. Yeah. Kevin came around. And I was like, you can even see that he was softening.
Because earlier in the episode, he was complaining about having another mouth to feed in the house and making his cheese puffs.
Now he's glad to help feed that mouth.
Yeah, I think he'll warm up.
I mean, to tell you, I know how I felt when I held my first. You can't get over. I held 2 more after that. Felt the same way.
Yes.
Now, they will eat you out of house, home, take your money and do all sorts of things. But hey, it's all about it, isn't it?
Now, I guess the last thing I wanted to touch on was Jada and her situation with her young girl.
Goodness.
And so the name of the episode, Cooley High, I was like, where is this going to show up in the episode? But turns out Darnell just screwed everybody up at the class reunion, thinking that it was going to be Cooley High themed. Apparently, he didn't get the memo and didn't tell everybody else. So they showed up in their, the Cooley High gear. And
there was a couple other people too that was there that had Cooley High stuff.
A few of them, but apparently they had changed it, so it was half themed, half not. And it turns out her little young masseuse babe been getting around.
Well,
with her rival of all people.
Of all people.
Well, she knew that when she took his card.
That's true.
I mean. Tiff gave her the card, so clearly, he's been servicing folks.
Yeah, and I think that's why Kevin's mom was kind of asking him, like, what's your intentions with my friend, because she knows, and I think the word is on the street that he get around.
Yeah, I kind of question Nina's, well, if I didn't question it, I was trying to figure out where she was headed with it. I mean, granted, first, you should ask Jada where you're going with this, because he's considerably younger than she is. And does she really want to go farther with him?
He's having fun. That's where she's going with it.
No, my point exactly. And if you're having fun, just let them have fun. It's either going to burn out or they'll decide to take it, to another place. But, trying to, back him up in a corner as to what he plans to do with Jada, let Jada make that decision. She's grown.
Yeah, that's true.
She can. I think she was just trying to be.
She's just being a friend. Yeah, she's just being a friend.
I got it. I get that.
I think it's odd that at the beginning, like, I would think that Jada would be the one pressuring, like, where are we going with this?
Exactly.
But he was the one doing it. He was like, so, like, what is this? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
No, because sometimes men like older women. Not all young men, but some young men do like older women.
And quite a few.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can see him liking her.
Look, quite a few young men like older women. The problem is a lot of older women don't like young men. So and particularly if you're at that point in your life as a young man, that you want to kind of move things along, grow up some, and do right. You typically look for older women because they're already established.
They settled, established, yeah.
But that's another concern I think that especially like Nina might have had, because you don't want your friend getting milked, because she got this young man and she's thinking it's something serious and he's just there for, the money or the stability.
Well, Jada ain't got much, so
right.
I don't see milking.
She don't need another Emmett around,
Well, that's true. No, she doesn't need that.
No, she doesn't. And Emmett is going to be the one that has an issue if they do decide to get serious, because this is somebody he went to school with.
Yeah.
But it seems like this guy really might have saved Jada. He noticed the lump in her breast, and she says she gets it checked frequently, but apparently they have not been doing their full, scope of the exam, because that lump actually did turn out to be cancerous.
Well, she said she did it every birthday, so that means she was doing it annually, and so you gotta check.
That's so I'm like, how did you miss that if it's been doing? If she's been on top of it,
Well, because you
probably weren't doing the self check.
Well, even if she was doing it on an annual basis, the moment they found that lump, that annual basis should have gone to a more like a 6-month, 3-month basis, because those things can grow.
But I don't think they found it. That's the thing. She said it was an annual.
Yeah, but she also said, I've had this for years. Remember, she said, I know what it is. I've had it for years.
Yeah, she
did. I've been getting these annual checks. But the moment they found it, they should have biopsied it to find out exactly what it is. You know, and then I'm sure at that point in time, they do more of a hands-on exam to see if it's gotten any larger. But sometimes a hands-on exam isn't going to tell you the whole story.
Right, and they do the sonogram too.
Yeah, and I was about to say, and if you've seen the previews for next week, you know, the doctors was already saying like apparently it's more aggressive than we thought. So maybe, you know, they had been monitoring it.
Right.
Well, I think that's when she went to the, you know.
That's what I say. It might have been, you know, this size a year ago, and it's now that size a year later because it's aggressive. It's an aggressive tumor. And they're going to grow larger faster than what you would normally expect a tumor to do. So, you know, luckily though, you know, he seems
hopefully, I mean, if they're talking about it's going to be aggressive, I mean, I wonder if they're going to, I don't know where the storyline is going to go, but like she's going to have to face a mastectomy and stuff and radiation. And then if he's going to be along for the ride, like if he's going to be there to show her like, hey, I'm here for you or whatever. But I was like, wow. I said, she's living her best life, and here we go with the cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me that she didn't catch it herself, because she's in the healthcare field. You know, she's a healthcare provider too. So I saw like, I wonder why she wasn't being,
because it's you. Because it's you.
I can answer that. I can answer that because my mother was a nurse
it's you,
and had cancer and stuff, and still wasn't. The nurses and doctors, the healthcare providers, they're usually like the worst patients because they care for other people, but they don't always care for themselves the way they care for other people. So I saw that firsthand with my own mom.
But also, you don't want to live up to that knowledge, that understanding of
the shock on her face when she heard that. She was like,
that's a hard thing to accept. And when you got to accept what it is, you want to put that knowledge off as long as you can. Unfortunately, though, you know, cancer can kill you, and so the sooner you know, the better. You know, things can be in your favor, and so you just have to man up and take that information, and then take those necessary steps, because you can't play with it. You know, I know you don't want to hear it, but it is what it is, and you got to take those steps to save your life. Because you're the only one that's going to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm really concerned about that situation. I really like Jada's character, so I hope that she can pull through the situation. I wonder how it's going to affect Emmett once he finds out, because he's already dealing with, you know, his home life being in shambles, and then having to find out, you know, that his mom is dealing with that. That's a major blow. So.
Yeah.
But maybe that, you know, because when that happens and the family and friends can rally around her, maybe that might bring he and Tiff back together too.
Well,
I want to jump into the predictions.
Yeah. Well,
because I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, in terms of, you know, the situation, I think that Tiffany's little indiscretion, I think that's going to come back to haunt her, because I think that Dante has been wanting her for a while. He's been popping off at the mouth, talking about how, you know, Emmett's not the guy for her. And I think that it's going to come out, and Emmett's going to find out. And Dante's a buff dude, and he, you know, he's from the streets. You know, he is into some things that Emmett is not into. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's going to be a major threat to Emmett, and create way bigger of a situation than maybe Tiffany expected. Maybe she thought it was going to be like a one-off fling, but I think Dante is going to be all in, trying to pursue her for real now. And he's not going to appreciate the fact that, you know, if it was a one-off thing, I think he's still going to pursue her.
I think in all
throw it in Emmett's face too.
I think in all of Emmett's mess, that is going to be a pill that he can't swallow.
Hello.
He is going to. He is going to pretend. It is going to be as if he did no wrong, and she stepped out for the first time and brought all that drama to the relationship. It's a pill that he can't swallow, and it's going to cause him to do something that, you know, could get himself, you know, injured or killed by approaching Dante, you know, because men do that. You know, we always want to blame the other guy. She went to him. So, you know, and she went to him because of you.
Yeah.
So if you want Dante out of the picture, you better damn sure sit down with Tiffany and try to work something out with her. Now, I'm afraid Tiffany might be just a little gone. I think she's out.
Well, she was giving him the silent treatment, it seems like, from next week's episode. She's been not talking, and that's making Emmett even more crazy because it's like she's straight up ignoring me at this point. So I tell you one thing about them tables, when they turn.
I know. And a lot of times the brothers can't handle it when the tables turn.
Yes.
They want all the forgiveness in the world.
What you talking about?
But I saw that Keisha told Emmett in the previews of next week that, you know, the woman is you know, not speaking to you, then that's not a good sign. That's bad. And then it looked like Tiffany was confronting Dom next week too. Yes. So I was like, that's gonna be interesting. Like, how's that gonna go down?
Yeah, I'm waiting on that. That's the one I want to see.
I wonder if she's gonna continue to play it cool with Dom, like she doesn't know, just to see how Dom is acting.
She's a hothead. Nah, I don't see it. I know
Tiffany's a hothead, but I also think she could be like very calculated too. Like if she wants to play the situation out and let Dom think one thing, but it's really another, I think she's gonna catch her off guard. I don't know. I don't know. It could go either way, because I can see her popping off, or I can see her playing it cool. Like, okay, so you really trying to play me?
I think she'll roll up in there like, you know, it's easy like Sunday morning, and then as soon as Dom says something, it's off. It's like pop, and you know, Dom is going to try to sweet talk her, you know, and probably tell her it was something that happened a while back, yada yada yada, but Tiffany has lived through a lot of drama with that boy. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Dom can say anything to Tiffany at this point, because you were all up in her face. And if anybody should have said anything to Tiffany, it should have been Dom.
Yeah.
You know, before this business thing, how are you going to go into business?
Emmett should have told him.
I wouldn't have even
he's a husband. But yeah, and I think Emmett, he's probably going to tell Dom that he let Tiff know. He should, so she could be prepared. Because they're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to know what Darnell is going to say when he finds out that Emmett wrote it on himself.
Listen, he aided and abetted in that situation, because when he had that little family night, like in the movie he chose Soul Food, we talked about that last week. I was just like, he put Emmett in the hot seat.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. It also looks like for the previews next week, Curtis in his situation, he's talking about the community having his back, and he won't let them down. So like I said, I feel like he's going to try to get the Black community rally behind him. And it seems like it's just going to be like us against the cops. I think that narrative is going to continue.
Yep.
And Trig seemed like he was in that community town hall, you know, meeting, and he was calling for the community to come together, but it was like he got in a tussle with somebody and they pulled out a gun on him. So I'm like, uh-oh.
You know, when we talked about PTSD, it's like a lot of people are having PTSD, because the episode started out with Trig, you know, reflecting on what he did, how he beat the cop up. Mm-hmm. So he was, you know, reflecting on that. Kevin is in his bag about his stuff.
Emmett reflecting with Tiffany chasing him with a knife.
Yeah.
Like, everybody got all these triggers.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. It also seems like Gemma and Jake. Gemma is kind of like prepping Jake for some kind of, you know, on film interview, and I'm like, is this what's gonna spark there?
They're gonna get close.
Yeah. So Kevin
is pushing her away. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I wish that the community, like after seeing that clip of them getting in that argument and getting into the situation with the cops, like after seeing that go viral, I wish that the mental health support was pushed on them. Like it seems like it's kind of like nobody has said anything about it. It's like kind of like they left them to themselves. But I wish that it was like, no, you guys need to go and speak to somebody, and as like a school or even like a school guidance counselor. Yeah, like they're at this well-off school and they have all of these resources at that school. I would think that, you know, the administrative folks would have been like, look, y'all need to sit down with the counselor and discuss what happened.
Well, I got a new song in my head, guys. It's a new, well, not a new song, it's an old song. You know, I'm just trying to stay with that Cooley High thing, but this isn't Cooley High, but I get that, is this the end? And I keep hearing that in my head. It keeps playing, that New Edition, is this the end? It keeps playing in my head. Because I think this might be the end with Jake and Kevin. Because it's getting there. Yeah, I mean, and Gemma's got a lot to do with it. You know, she's kind of reckless in her thing with Jake. I'm still trying to figure out how we get to that point. But
well, I kind of hinted at it a little bit because I was like, I feel like the table was turning between Kevin and Jake, and I feel like Jake is starting to tap into his more intellectual side, and he's trying to get in touch with his education. He already talked to Trig about how he's enjoying school now. And so I think that him and Gemma are going to relate on that because, you know, she was talking about, you know, how she feels and her views about college and stuff. And I think that they'll find common ground and just picking each other's brain and finding out that they have more in common than they think. Right. Whereas Kevin is on the other side of the picture. She's always like, well, why do you have to be, you know, she's talking about his views and how he feels like, she's like, you're going to be on the wrong side of history.
Right. And she said she wants to have someone she can have an intellectual debate with.
Yeah, I get all that, but I'm going to go back to Power. Well, I think it was Power. And I'm going to go back with you, Tiff. Remember we had that little conversation about how you women, how y'all don't date your girlfriend's ex. You don't do that.
Oh, girl code. We talking about girl code.
Yeah, that girl code. How y'all don't break that code under any circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, there's a code. She shouldn't. I'm not saying Gemma should do it. We're not saying that that's something Gemma should do. Right. We're seeing how you said you don't see how it gets to that point.
Yeah.
Not under the girl code. But that girl code.
Well, it's not going to be. That's the thing, though. It's not going to be intentional. It's going to be very organic how it happens.
You know what? It's never intentional, right? If a dude do it, it's intentional. If a woman does it, it's not. Well, that's another whole story. Well, look, that's a show that we need to do. That's a story.
You think so?
Yeah, it's intentional.
No, I was just saying like them connecting. I think that they're not.
Oh no, that is it's going to be organic. That with I'm talking about the girl code.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Gemma and Jake.
I think it's just organic. I think because, you know, Kevin is not returning calls and he's pushing her away and he's being, you know, he's deflecting. He's deflecting a lot of his angst and PTSD on her and stuff. And, you know.
Okay, family. I just so hope we can do a show on that girl code because I'm ready to destroy that all day long.
I have to do a side conversation about that.
That's a whole other show all together.
Oh, you know how I feel about the girl code.
I know exactly how you feel.
You know, it's been in conversations lately too, especially with that Portia situation.
Yeah.
So we can go there. That can be a separate thing.
Yeah, we can go there. I think girl code was broken on that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I did enjoy this episode though, and I think that I hope Kevin gets it together before he gets his little heart broke.
I think he headed for Heartbreak Hotel.
Heartbreak Hotel. And he's got the key.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any other predictions you want to throw out there?
Other than what I said, I think I was going to call Candy. Rosalind, I think she might be the one. If she's not the one, the cops can kill Douda or shoot Douda. I don't know that he's dying, but I think that she's going to be the one that pulls the trigger.
Yes. I think we kind of already touched on majority of our predictions, especially some of the stuff we mentioned with Rashad and just being out of line. That's going to be an issue. Yeah, I think we kind of covered most of it. You got anything, Ron?
No, I'm good. I think we said it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We said it all.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel as well. Also, click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time that we post. And drop down in the comments. Let us know what you thought about this episode and what you guys predict or foresee. And let us know what you think about that girl code conversation too. Do you want to see something like that? A separate conversation for that? Let us know, because Ron, you outnumbered here. We might got to pull Jason in to chime in with you.
You know, I'm down for a beating if I get one, but you know, I got a lot of ammunition for you.
Okay, well, we're gonna try to set that up. Also, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Spot Real Talk. We do follow back, so we look forward to connecting with you guys there as well. Do you guys have any closing remarks before we head out?
Great. Enjoy. Okay,
well, Godfather of Harlem is on hiatus until later on this year. So we will be doing the Shy recaps each and every Sunday. So make sure you're back here with us next week when we go into the next episode. Until then, I think we can call it a night.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Fool me once, fool me twice. When you're hiding things, might as well be lies.